Hey there, crafty friend. I wanted to show you how I made this Bundt pan pumpkin. Now, the Bundt pan that I'm using is pretty small. It's maybe 6 or 7 inches across. And the spindle that I'm using as a stem is probably about 6 or 7 inches across as well. And I'm just stuffing some packing paper down in here so the stem will be snug. If you do a project like this, you can use like shopping bags or really anything just to make the spindle snug in there. Now I'm going to make this permanent, so I'm going to use E6000. You'll see that in a moment. I'll use the E6000 to glue the paper into the Bundt pan and also the spindle down in there. So I'm just trying to fit it and try to shape it to the shape of the hole so it'll be just a nice snug fit. So here I am just wrapping the paper around, trying to get a good fit, and this is just back and forth, just trying to get it in there. I want to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And then I'll add some glue, like I said, some E6000, just so I can have a nice snug stem. And I wanted to take a moment to thank you for watching. My name is Michelle. My channel is LaFonda Crafts, and I would really appreciate if you subscribe and follow along for more crafty DIYs. So, okay, finally here I'm adding the E6000. So I'm just going all around, trying to get the glue in there. Then I shove the paper back in there. Sorry, this is, I was crafting in a completely different place than where I usually craft in my house. So I apologize for the angles not being the greatest. So here I'm just making sure the spindle can get in there, and then I'm going to add some glue to the spindle. So once I put the spindle in there, I'll go in with some more pieces of paper just to make sure the spindle's not going to move and it's going to be a nice snug fit while the E6000 dries. And that's usually overnight or about a day or so for that glue to really cure. So I'm just working the paper in there and just making sure it's down in there nice and tight, and my stem is not going to go anywhere. So like I said before, if you wanted to do a project like this, you don't have to make it permanent. You could just stuff the paper in there or your bags in there and then take it apart for storage, or if you want to do something different with it, or even if you want to actually use the pan for baking for its intended purpose. So here I have some Spanish moss. I just make like a little hole in the clump of moss and then just slide that right over the stem. And then I'll add some hot glue just to make sure the Spanish moss doesn't move around. And here I have 3 strips of fabric. I have like 2 striped pieces of fabric and then a solid. So I make like a little awareness ribbon, and then I push down the middle to make a bow. And just with a small piece of jute, I'm going to tie off the bow. So I just make a knot with my jute. And here I'm going to just trim off those ends. And then I'll just add some hot glue and I'll glue it onto the stem. Just kind of right at the base of the stem, right on top of the moss. So if you wanted to do this and not make it permanent, you could glue your bow onto the moss, so you're not sticking it onto the spindle and then you can easily take it apart later. So I was just turning the pumpkin around, just kind of seeing where I wanted the front to be. And I'll let the hot glue set up there. And this is floral wire. It's like wrapped floral wire, and I thought it would be nice to use as tendrils. Now, I should have added this before I added the bow, or even before the Spanish moss, I'm not sure. But anyway, I just kind of work it under the bow, work it through the Spanish moss. And this is pretty thick wire. I believe it's like 18 gauge. So it's pretty sturdy, but whatever wire you have would work fine. So here, as I work it under the moss, I just cross it over, or I will cross it over here in a second. I cross it over and then kind of twist it tightly around the stem so it doesn't go anywhere. I'm just pushing it down so it's nice and snug in there, and then I'll use the end of a paintbrush to wrap around and make a tendril. You can use like a pencil or a pen if you know, depending on how big you want to make your tendrils, how wide you want the curls. So then I do the same thing on the other side. And then I have this Hello Fall tag. It's just it's just a piece of drop cloth that I stamped that Hello Fall tag on, or that Hello fall saying on. So I use a little bit of hot glue, add it to the center of the bow. And then here I have a wooden sticker. This, I believe, came in a pack from Hobby Lobby. I got it a long time ago. I'm taking off the sticker part because I know that's not gonna stick really well onto my bow. So I add some hot glue on the back and then just stick it on there, stick it onto the middle of the bow. And here I have some little berries. They came on a pick from Hobby Lobby. It was from their fall section. So I'm just adding hot glue and I'll stick that into the moss. So this is another little clump of berries. And that pick came with some brown leaves, so I'm just sticking those in there as well. I'm just using the end of my paintbrush there to push in those leaves so I don't burn myself. So here I decided the leaves were sticking up a little bit too tall, so I trimmed off the top part, and then I'll just add some hot glue and stick that piece in there too. So I'd like to thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments if you're gonna make one of these or if you've ever made one of these. This is the first fall that I've made one of these. So here it is. Thanks for watching. Like and comment and subscribe.